Hello. In this video, we're gonna create the character class, which we won't be able to just copy in because every character is different, so we have to rewrite it from scratch. And this video is gonna be a tough one. So we're gonna create something like this. We're gonna be building on top of the projects we had from the last video. So we're gonna give some logics to our character, and like now the character moves, updates position based on the animation, and then you can also attack when you press specific buttons. There's also jumping, so let's try to build this. So this is what we have done before. You press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to look for all of the animations. There's no logic yet. So first thing we need to do is to create a character class, and let's call it wizard, and let's actually create the header files and the CPU files. Wizard.cbp. Okay, so we can just copy in all of these variables, animation pros, because we need it in the wizard class. And you can look at the Google Slides with all the classes. It's just that you won't be able to just copy in the character class. Not this one. You can look at the class here and then use it as a reference for the kind of things you would need. So we're gonna make all of these privates. We're gonna need some static variables, enum for status, and OB for the status of every animation there is. Idle, jump, fall, attack 1, attack 2, take hits, F. And then it's also a good idea to statically store all of the textures that we'll be using for Animation Pro. This is just so that if we decide to create multiple wizards, we're not loading in the same texture like 10 times. Texture 2D texture. So I'm gonna just copy this 8 times and then put in the one for idle. Jump, fall, attack 2, take hits, so public. What we should do now is just write a function to load in all the textures. So, and it will be a static function. So static void load textures. then let's call this function in source.cpp. We should create a new function and then call it load resources. So this is where we'll load all the textures of the audio, all the stuff like that. Okay. Load resources. So same thing, this is a function just to unload all the textures, so we need 8 of this. Run, jump. And just call it in main. So release. Oh, unload texture. Unload textures. So we're ready to add in all the variables we need. So if you look at the Google Slides, for the character class, it does give you a good idea on all the variables you need. So that's what I'm gonna do. So we need status, last status, and then status for the status. And then that is really just so that we can tell when the animation is changing. When the status change, we change the animation. And with this, we're ready to write the constructor. Oh yeah, there's one more thing we need to do. We need to define of these static variables in the CP file. So, and that looks something like this. First, include the header to visitor page, and then oh, did I delete them? So you need to define your static variables before you can use them. And yeah, that's it. And then we're gonna add a few more variables, but for now we're ready to write the constructor. So let's do it. And we don't actually have to pass in all these animation pros. yeah, define these variables, or I mean initialize them. Oh wait, they just look like the one we haven't sourced, like dust, basically. Okay, we need to scale and update time as well. And then we can change this up for the static texture. So from texture, texture. Center size. So position, speed, facing, lefts. These are all past in health. Okay, health and dead. That's what we need. Equals max health. Dead equals. And then okay, currents equals idle. Because we're gonna initialize the currents animation to idle. Status equals idle, and then last status also idle. Unless you want to initialize it to have a different animation to begin with, like jumping or attack, you can do it right here. So now let's write the draw function. We'll need a draw, and then you have to pass in the camera position. So let's find the. Let's take this, delete it, and then put it into here. And then we're gonna have to update this to pause size minus camera pause size, and then pause y minus camera pause y. And this flip will be for scale, or no, facing this. Let me actually see. So this thing should be. Yeah, let's delete all of these. We don't need them anymore, and then we're gonna move all these into the class as well, the wizard class as well. So take input, not the camera position, not the camera, take input. So let's create a global variable for wizard, and then set up wizard. We're gonna need the position. Let's just do 0, 0, 0, and then speed 500, and then facing left false. Max health 100, and and then scale 3, and then 1 over 12.0 for update time. That's the animation speed. And then wizard.draw. And then what else do we need? Wizard take and then let's see what happens. Yeah, so we have everything that we had before. Now, except they're all in the wizard class. Now we're ready for putting in all the logics. So the first thing we're going to need is for to change the animation. And then we're going to change this whole thing. We're going to do it step by step, one animation at a time, delete all of this. And then here we're going to do if last status does not equal status, then we're going to change the animation. So if status equal idle. So this function is really to detect the status, and then if the status has changed, it's going to update the animation. So now let's go to take input. We're gonna, we deleted everything, so we're gonna start from scratch. So let's do running first. So if is key down, key A, then we're gonna do facing left equals true, and then is key down, key and then we're going to just set the status to idle at the start of this function, so that if there's no input, then the wizard is going to just be idle. So right now, if you press A and D, it's going to change the direction, but then he doesn't walk yet. So if you're pressing either of these keys, this key down, you're gonna be moving. So there it is. You don't. Is key down A or key down D? Oh, maybe I'm not. Am I not calling these functions? Oh, I'm not calling change animation. Okay. So wizard dot change animation. So now he's running. Okay. And then so running is working. Let's do the attack. Jump and fall is a bit harder. So if I'm going to do G and H for the two attacks. Is key press key G and then key H. So status equals attack 1, status equal attack 2. It's not working. So, and the problem is that when you're in the attack animation, when you press G, the status does change to attack 1, but then whenever you run the take input, it's gonna initialize back to idle. So unless you're pressing attack 1 every frame, it won't show up. So all we have to do is we don't reset it back to idle, nor do we take input if we're within the if the status is attack 1 or attack 2, so that like attack 1 and attack 2 cannot be interrupted. So now they work, but they don't know how to stop. So we have to write another function. So we call this end movement, end animation. And then what this does is that it checks if the animation is attack 1 or status equals attack 2, and if it is, if they are at the last frame, if the animation is finished, then you reset the status back to idle. So like this, and then call this function here, end animation. And the reason why it's a separate function is because you might call it again somewhere else. Okay, let me try the attack. Yeah, so once the animations are done, they do end. Okay, so what we need to do now, the attacks are working. Okay, let's try to do take hit and death. These are harder. So what I am gonna do now is, if this key, I'm gonna do this outside of this if statement because you can get her anytime. You can get her during the middle of your attack, and then that should be able to interrupt your attack. So is key pressed. And I'm gonna use Y for hurts. So if I press Y, my character is gonna just get hurt. He's gonna lose 10 health and then go into the hurts animation or take hit animation. So health minus equals 10, and then status equals take hits, and then oh yeah, you also have to do the same thing here. So you have to make sure that if you're within the hurts animation, you're not gonna be interrupted by these inputs. And this function is just to make sure that if the hit animation is done, you go back to idle, you get out of this animation. Take it. So right now you do get hurt, and then the animation ends. So at a certain point, you're gonna get hurt to a certain point where you're ready to die. If your health is less than, you need to write a function to check whether or not your character is dead. So check death, and basically if health is less than or equal to 0, you are gonna be dead. That equals true, and then status equals death. Let's run it. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm not calling this function. And let's just make the damage 50, so we only have to press it twice. Yeah, now he's dying, and then but there is a problem where if you press other keys, you can't control where your character is going. Like, you have to stop taking input. End animation, and then if dead, turn. We're gonna put this inside here as well, so we can use this end animation separately. And the way we fix the looping is up here. So update frame if the character is dead and the current animation is finished animation. We don't want to update animation. We don't want to update frame. So we update frame whenever that's false, whenever we're not dead or we did not finish animation. So yeah, now animation is over. You don't have any changes, so that's good. And then let's just auto revive right now. So if you are dead, we put this into an if statement. So if this key pressed, if you're dead and you press the key R, you're gonna revive. So your health is gonna equal max health. And then if you don't press it when you're dead, then you just return. So now you should be able to revive. Yup, you do revive, but something is wrong. Okay, what is wrong is probably your dead is still true. So in this check function, you have to update this as well. So if your health is greater than 0 and you're dead, then dead equals false. You're not dead, and then status equals item. R, and then you're back. So this is working, and then we are ready to do jumping. Well, let's do update position first. What is this? No, that's just a Visual Studio bug. Okay, let's do update position, and then we're gonna, inside of that, we're gonna do jumping. But first, we're gonna make the character move when he's running. So void updates position. So if status equal then we're gonna do position.next. Okay, depending on the direction the character is facing, we're gonna change where he is going. So if he is facing left, then position.x minus equal speed times yes frame time, and we're gonna use get frame time multiple times, so we just cache it in local variable. So it's dt and then position.x plus speed times dt, and this goes. So now we should be able to. Oh, did we call this function? We didn't. Position. Yeah, now he's moving around. And then let's do jumping. So jumping is a tough one. So we're gonna do space if is key pressed. So now you should. Okay, I'm pressing space and it is not working. So we have to do the same thing here. Status does not equal jump, and status does not equal fall. And the way they add animation jump and fall, they're gonna be different. So we do have to add a whole new, like a few more variables to define whether or not the character is in error, and then is in error, and then a vector 2 for velocity. This is error velocity and error. So do we need one more variable? Oh yeah, probably like jump speed. Let's jump speed. So jump speed will be a variable we pass in, and then let's pass it here. Let's jump speed. And then error velocity and is in error, they're both set to be like, well, error velocity should be 0, 0, and then is in error is closed. There's an error. Oh, we have to update the function here. So jump, let's go with 500 as well. So jumping, and then let's just do this. If status equals jump, and then if not in error, then we're gonna let's just call it in error, so it's in error. If not in error, then you're gonna gain a velocity. air velocity dot x dot y minus equals jump speed. And the reason why we're subtracting, we're gonna jump upwards, right? But then in Raylib, y at the top of the screen, so up here y value is 0, and then down here it increases to like 1,000 or 800. And then, okay, let's write some logic for updating the position based on the velocity. And actually, let's actually just call it velocity. So pulse dot x plus equal velocity dot x times dt, and then pulse dot y plus equals velocity dot y times dt. Oof. Yeah, you just flew up because you're always in error, so we need to write a function to check if you're in error. Check in error. So, and then you're gonna pass in a y value for the floor. So, floor y value, and then if position of x is less than floor y value, if it's less than the floor y value plus the, okay, should be minus the height of the texture, currents dot get height, then in error equals true, else in error equals false. And we need to call this function. Check in error, and then you're gonna pass in like a, let's do 700 for now, or get screen heights. Okay, let's print out the values for in error. Include the IO stream library. So you're not in error. Oh, did I do? Okay, not x but y. So right now I am in error. I am in error. So okay, let's add a gravity so it pulls the character down. So go to the header file and then add your global const global variables here. So close gravity normal to 90 const. So here if you're in error, then your velocity y is gonna plus equals gravity times dt, and then Yeah, it'll be a downward force. Oof, what? Oh, you're falling and then you fly up. Okay, we need to write a function for checking bound. Checking bound. So this, and then if your y value is greater than this value, greater than the floor values, you're above it, you set the y position back to. If you're above this value, that means you're below the ground. So this would just set you back to ground. Okay. It doesn't know how to end. So now we have to handle. Now we have to handle ending the two animations. So end animation if status equal jump. So if status is equal to jump, and then this animation ends when the velocity is going downwards. So going downwards, that means in Raylib that means it's greater than 0. So if velocity is greater than 0, that means that is equal fall. And then for fall, okay, the way fall ends is that if you are not in the air, then your fall is over. If you're not in the air, then fall equals idle. So let's see what happens now. The gravity is or like the jump force is too low. Give it a stronger jump force. Give it like 800. Okay, jumping is. If something is off, it's like it's not always jumping with the same force. One more thing to make sure is that if the character is ever in error, then just change the animation to just change the status to fall, jump, or fall if the character is in error. If velocity .y is greater than 0, that means it is going downwards. So status equals fall. If velocity .y is less than 0, that means it's going upwards, and then status equals jump. So when we begin the game, the character should be falling. Yeah. Yeah, every other jump, he's like jumping higher. is equals jump speed. And I want to make sure this happens if your velocity is 0. Yeah, maybe we forgot to reset the velocity to 0. Yeah, because you're tracking down, you stop the character from moving, but then it's still gaining the y velocity. So if it's an error, so if it's not an error, velocity should be completely 0. Yeah, now it's working properly. Yeah, the jump is always consistent. And 800 is probably too much. 500. And what I want to do is, when I'm jumping, I don't want him just to be stationary. If I'm pressing A or D while in air, it should move the character as well. Or maybe he's jumping based on which direction he's facing. I mean, you have a lot of flexibilities. I guess the way I'm going to do it is, if the character is running, and then he's gonna jump with a velocity towards that direction. It gets a velocity in the x direction. So if not an error, that is sure. Let me just add this check just to make sure that you don't have velocity. Or is that even necessary? I don't think it's necessary. Let's see. We're gonna get a velocity, except one velocity. Velocity dot x. Velocity dot x. Velocity dot y. Or velocity dot x minus jump speed. Jump speed. And then there's no dt because this is not a continuous increment. He doesn't gain it. Maybe this is it. So I'm not there. Okay, now you do. Yeah, maybe that was enough. Okay, and then if status, if an error, if I am pressing a few buttons, I can increase the velocity. If is key pressed or is key down, key A. So if I'm pressing A or D, I'm gonna have a little bit of acceleration. Velocity dot x minus equals jump speed times dt, and then we're multiplying dt to some because it is continuously applied. So this just makes it so that if I'm in error and I'm pressing A and D, it makes him jump faster. So I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna press backwards. Yeah, and then that slows down the jump. Gives you more control over your jump. Yeah. And then I don't think this is necessary, but well, it's not necessary in this case, but it's good to have a check here so that if your velocity, because you're changing your velocities here, right? You're changing your velocities here, right? If your velocity ever changes to a point where you're pointing to a different direction, you should change the direction you're facing. So let's do it. Velocity.x is greater than 0. That means you're going to the right, so facing left first. So like if velocity.x is equal to 0, then it's gonna just retain whatever direction it had before equals to true. So let's just get rid of dt. Getting rid of dt is gonna make it 2. You're not gonna be able to tell. He's probably gonna fly past the screen. So let's just multiply it by 2, and then hopefully in error we can change the direction. Yeah, I did. So let's multiply it by 3 so that it's clear. Yeah. But yeah, he did change direction. But this is really too much. So jumping is working. Damn, he can almost jump past the entire screen. Guess this will stop. What else do we need to do? Oh yeah, fixing the floor. So checking depth. This is pretty much it for this video. In terms of like character interaction, like wizard attacking another character, that's something we'll do in the next video. So let me fix the floor and then this video is done. So the scene, the constructor actually takes in 2 parameter, one for top of the floor and then another for the bottom of the floor, and it doesn't scale with. If you change the scale, you kind of have to redefine it. So let me just show you what I mean. I'm gonna call this function in the draw scene draw ground borders. So and then you have to pass in the camera position. So like you see the blue line, and then I guess the blue line is covering the red line. The blue line is the bottom of the ground, and then red line is the top of the ground. Depending on the specific scene, sometimes you really only need like one of these values. So let's just try 700. So the red line is above the ground. So I'm basically trying to change the values manually until it is directly above the ground on the grass. I'll try like 5750, then if that is directly above the ground, we can use that. 730. Okay, that looks good enough. And then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna change the ground value that I was passing in. So this function, it takes in the floor y value, which is the top of ground for scene. So scene dot top of ground. And then obviously this is not gonna work. This method is not gonna work if you have like platforms and different levels of ground. Then you kind of have to pass in a vector of rectangles for like the collision, for the colliders of the platforms. And yeah, you're gonna have to change these classes up, and you're free to do that. Any of the classes that I provide, you can change them. You're free to change anything you like. But yeah, right now the character is above the ground, and it's pretty good. The code. I'm gonna just yeah. I'm thinking about which files I'm gonna copy and paste in the comment section. I guess I'll just copy and paste because I changed the header as well. You know, there's gravity in the header. You know what, I'll just copy and paste the source.cpp, the wizard.h, wizard.cpp, and then you kind of have to add in gravity yourself.